Are you ready for this?
I, I am. Hi.
Hey, Joe. It's so good to meet you, man.
You too. It's funny when I saw the clip before of you talking to Abby.
Uh-huh.
I only saw this for half a second, and I was like, "Oh, he's doing the recording in a bike repair shop in his bike repair shop. It's at home."
It's home. This is my house. Yeah, it's a small house. It's 1,100 square feet, no garage. And I like bikes, so
Yeah,
I pack up to five of them into this little room.
I love it.
And my
That's
wife is still married to me.
a miracle. That's cool.
Yeah, I like it.
I mean, I don't know bikes in the way you do. I mean, I don't know them the way you do. Because didn't you actually work at uh in bike repair at some point in your life?
Well, no, I mean, so as a kid, I hung out at the bike shop, like as a little kid,
Oh,
I'm talking grammar school. I started hanging out in the bike shop in like third grade or something, and I built myself a BMX bike way back then. I was pretty good at building and fixing bikes when I was really young. And I was pretty good at using my hands in general, like on mechanical stuff up through high school. Like I started working on cars. I was like, yeah, I'm good at this stuff. And
yeah.
it got like beat out of me. You need to be an engineer and study thermodynamics and differential equations. And by the time I was done with all of this education journey, getting lost and refinding myself, my mechanical skills kind of suck.
Really? Oh, I guess you're right. They would go away if you're not using them every day.
Yeah, and you don't have the right stuff. I mean, I did build, so there's a bike right here. I could turn the camera, but I've got a Surly low side. I'm wearing my Surly hat today. Um, and that was fun because this was, I don't know, a couple of years ago. I took a wheel building class at the local bike shop, and I built a pair of wheels, and then I convinced the guys at the shop to help me build a complete bike, which I built a single speed, and I was really bad at the whole thing.
Felt out of place.
Yeah, yeah, it was definitely, and there was things that were just so frustrating. There was like getting the seat onto the seat post. I
Yeah.
I almost murdered somebody at some at some point, and they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Next time I need the seat adjusted, I'm bringing it to you guys." So,
Yeah, I don't know. I was never as a kid, I was never like a dirt biker per se, but I had a newspaper route
yeah.
to pay, that was my first job. And so I would get up in the morning and ride the bike
Uh-huh.
to deliver newspapers. And then I never really paid much attention to cycling again until I met my partner, and was participating in some of these long distance um, fundraising rides, and we did. It used to be called the California AIDS Ride, and then it was then called AIDS Life Cycle, and he had done it 3 times before I met him, and then I was inspired to join him for the fourth and the fifth,
Hmm.
which is like a 500 something mile ride between San Francisco and California. Yeah, between San Francisco and LA.
Got it.
And it's one of those supported rides where you camp, the
Hmm.
entire camp moves with you. It's a very, it's one of the things I'm most proud of having accomplished in my life. But because I was never an athlete,
Hmm.
or I never considered myself an athlete before that. But then here I was, each day was at least 60 miles. Usually, at least one of them was 100.
Yeah.
You really had to train. And so I couldn't deny the fact that I was an athlete, at least for 2 years, you know.
Yeah, that's a legit ride. I've actually never done anything like that myself. I mean, I've done a couple of century rides and I've done some incredibly difficult rides. I did a 50-mile, 5,000 feet of elevation thing
Oh
in
my God.
Northwest Arkansas. So I've done like crazy hard shit, but that like 500 miles in under a week scenario, that's legit. That, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's your ass really hurts. And I mistakenly was like, oh, there must be all these beautiful moments of when I was imagining what he went through. I was like, there must be these beautiful moments of reflection and there is, but not really. You're just like, I gotta get the next 20 miles so I can pee and eat, and then you're just reacting to it, I guess. I mean, it was like I said, it was wonderful, but I don't know all the names of things and of brands and things as much as you do. I got my a Trek road bike, and then Eddie has a Trek. He won it at one of his jobs, a Trek hybrid
Okay.
bike that has the thicker tires and everything. And then we have a an old Schwinn that he won in a raffle that we toy around on. But
I wish we were doing this podcast together on bikes. That would be way, way more fun.
might be challenging, but it would certainly be interesting to watch.
Yeah, how do you navigate a conversation and ride bikes? I mean, I'm watching this documentary right now with Ewan McGregor and another actor who I don't know the name, and it's called The Long Way Home. Apparently, they've done they're this super long motorcycle ride.
Oh,
So they're doing this. They're motorcycling around Europe. They start in Scotland and go up to the like Arctic Circle and all the way around. They're all over Europe, and I mean they're gone for a really long time. I don't know. It's like a 6 week trek or something like that. But they've got mics on, and it's kind of fascinating to watch how the whole thing is filmed.
I'm sure. Yeah.
You know, yeah. If you're into like documentaries, it's also really heartwarming. I want to be friends with Ewan McGregor, like, and I want to watch more of his movies because he's apparently a really, I mean, not apparently, he's just a really, really nice guy. And watching this documentary, I didn't know this. They've done this, been doing this for 20 years. It's the fourth such uh, documentary that they've done that these two guys have done together. So I'm watching the most recent one, but now I want to go watch all of them. They're really, really cool. Yeah, but how do you have good voice, good sound quality while traveling at speed and all that stuff? I don't, it's kind of impressive.
I mean, do they show, I mean, of course they show the open road, what they see, the cameras on them. Are there like, so they have a crew, right?
They do have a crew. Yeah, they've got a crew. They've got a crew that stays kind of far. Well, they've got a third motorcycle that's kind of following them with cameras. Then they've got a whole crew like in trucks a couple of miles behind them, and they're flying drones around. But they've got cameras right on their faces.
Right.
Like you can kind of see them in this view, and they can talk to each other as they're riding.
Remind me of the name of it again?
It's called The Long Way Home.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay.
And the reason why I had to stop and think about it because all of their titles are like the very first one I think was called The Long Way Round, and then they did another one called The Long Way Down, and then The Long Way Up.
Okay.
So, and they're each like these super long journeys that they do together. And it's just, yeah, it's also really heartwarming, and they travel around the world. And I know you love to travel too. So it's kind of a neat way to see places from the seat of a motorcycle. It is one of the few I don't watch that much TV. It's one of the few shows that when my wife Abby puts it on, I'm like, okay, I can't write anymore. I gotta stop and watch this because it's really good.
What fits it fits so many of your interests. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
it does. Yeah. So I remember that story about you delivering newspapers because I feel like that's really how we connected on Medium. I wrote a thing about my delivering newspapers, and you found the algorithm gave it to you, and you wrote a nice note to me, and the rest is history. On I've loved this whole medium thing. Um,
I do too. People, you know, they have plenty of reasons to bash it and have issues with it, especially people who found it more in the glory days where they could make more money. Uh,
mhm.
and yes, I watched it change just within a year's time of me joining, and I'm like, because I had latched onto it as a legit second income there
Yeah,
for about 7 or 8 months. But um, I use Medium also to read a lot. I don't just write on it. So that platform works really well for me because I only pay one fee and I can read everybody. I don't have to subscribe to everybody's individual mailing list and pay for it. I
yeah.
read whoever I want. And I've been able to meet people through this. And there's a writer named Sarah Paris who writes a lot for the film, one of the film publications. And I'm going to Colorado Springs in a few weeks, to hang out with my sister-in-law, but she lives there. So
Oh, cool.
I'm gonna get together with Sarah, and I've already gotten together with 2 or 3 Medium people out in the real world. And so I do like it. I still, I roll my eyes about plenty of things too, but I've it's changed my life for the better, so I have to be very grateful for it.
Yeah, that's I've been withholding any sort of judgment. I've spent my whole life as an entrepreneur, and so the I guess the prayers that I say to Medium are to like hold on to your core values, please. And the whole money thing, I'm not I'm I'm concerned that the chase towards the dollar sign will turn them into, a Substack, and so far been not a fan of the whole Substack thing. That's another story. We don't have to get into all of that.
No, I feel the same way. I've dipped my toe in there, but I don't, for example, I don't go there to read. There's something
Yeah.
about the app, the layout. I don't physically enjoy reading there. And then also, yes, my prayer to Medium also is that everybody looks now to TikTok and they're like, we got to be like them, and it's got to be flashing graphics over here. And it's like, no, no, no. So,
Yeah.
well, I really hope they'll stay. But no, I mean, ever since I stepped on there, things have gotten better for me, emotionally, and also just knowing that, proving that, or not even proving, discovering that I could write.
hmm
So
Yeah. I want to hear more about your journey. So you're a voiceover actor. Did I say that correctly? Voiceover actor? Yeah. Um,
yeah, some people say narrate. They used to just say a voiceover announcer in the past because
okay.
it wasn't considered acting.
Huh.
Um, But then, of course, yes, it's voiceover actor.
Okay, cool. So, and I'm curious if this phrase is meaningful to you. I grew up in the New York City movie business. My grandfather was a founder of Local 52, the motion picture studio mechanics in Yahtzee. So when like I just grew up in a family of props and set dressers.
Oh,
And
I love.
yeah, and honestly, I didn't earn my way into that world. It was like, oh, you're, George DeTita's grandson. Welcome to the union. Um,
You actually joined for a bit.
yeah, I worked in it. Yeah, I've got screen credit. I've got an IMDb and a screen credit and all the stuff. And yeah, I worked, probably the thing that I'm most proud of is the work that we did on The Sopranos. So there's a little fun fact that not everybody knows. My brother, Anthony DeMeo, and I'm the youngest of all the grandsons. It's the DeTitas, it's my mom's side. There's a couple of DeMeos because of my mom And so my brother is really in the industry, and he was the prop master on The Sopranos.
Wow.
And I'll never forget, I went up for a Christmas vacation the summer before we started filming, and I was at his house for a party. And he said, you got to check out this show that we're looking at doing. And he had, like a VHS tape, and he put in the pilot for The Sopranos. And we're like, holy shit, this looks great. One of the things that happened was, James Gandolfini's from the same part of New Jersey that I'm from. That whole crew is like family.
Wow.
Um, and they used our last name. I don't say like my brother's last name, but it's my last name. They used our last name to be the head of the Sopranos crime family. So if you're like into the Sopranos,
All right.
the head of the Sopranos crime family is Ercole DeMeo, which is it's like not a coincidence. It's named, yeah, so I'm born into the head of a fictitious crime family.
That's awesome. I love that. And you were there at the cut at the very beginning of the glory days of HBO's splash
Yeah,
into original programming.
it was you could feel that we were doing something different, that we were part of something new.
No, I believe it.
And I loved actually, it's James Gandolfini. I wrote some stories about this. James Gandolfini kind of helped me leave the business, like go through it. I was struggling between what I wanted to do, and he kind of helped talk me through chasing my dreams and not necessarily having to live in the shadow of my family and grandfather. Um, But all that background is to say that the family used to say that an actor's bread and butter is the voiceovers for commercials. And well, anyway, I just would listen to TV commercials that you wouldn't know that there's a famous actor doing
Right,
a voiceover, and I would say to my friends hey, do you hear, I don't know, Matthew McConaughey doing this commercial? And they're like, what?
right.
And it was before they would make a big deal out of who they were. That it was like they were just kind of their voices were there, but they never said who they were. They never showed them. They were just doing the voiceover for the commercial. And
Exactly.
I kind of introduced this fact to my friends, like, hey, listen to commercials. There's like people back there that give you a sense of comfort and are familiar voices. Um, but
Yeah. No, it's interesting that that phrase was there even back then because um I um I was mainly focused on theater acting and stuff like that in college, and I loved that. But I had a radio class, and
mhm,
that's where a professor introduced the concept of voiceover because a lot of people don't. Now people know, but literally 10 or 15 years ago, people are so used to watching TV, they never think about the fact that somebody is speaking that to them. They're just seeing what's on the camera, and
mhm.
they're not thinking that somebody is saying Tylenol or the one guy who does Geico, 20% or more could save you 15% on car insurance. One line, same delivery. I mean, he's a gazillionaire. I don't know who he is, but in the old days, it was just that was
Mhm.
the dream voiceover job.
Yeah.
But somebody the college professor introduced me to the concept of voiceover, and my voice sounded pretty much like this at age 13. And I looked nobody knew how the hell to cast me because I had a baby face and I sounded like Alan Rickman or something from Die Hard. So I became interested in voiceover then, and that was more during the time when it was like a secret. It was the celebrities might do it, but they didn't advertise it. There is a line in the movie Tootsie from 1982 where
Mhm.
Dustin Hoffman's character is yelling at his agent. He's like, "I'll even do voiceovers," because that is how much it was kind of looked down upon for celebrities to do voiceovers. Kind of
Mhm.
like it used to be down a little bit down an actor's life, a star's life was considered, not life, career was on the downturn if they were suddenly doing coffee commercials or dish detergent commercials. That's of course now changed. They're all just grabbing money any way they can, the celebrities. But the actors in the know, it wasn't so much movie stars, but I would say in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, the working actors in New York on Broadway and stuff, the smart ones, would try to get into voiceover
Hmm.
because it was less, it's for the right personality. It's a great gig where you don't want all the adulation, you don't want to be recognized. You go in, I miss this. You go into an actual studio, there's an engineer, you do your stuff, they're amazed, you leave, and then if it's a national commercial or in your union, you get paid really well, you know.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yes, it was for those in the know and who weren't ashamed to be doing voiceovers, especially the New York actors, they would do it for years. Now, so I started at the very beginning of when it was, and I was in LA, and the you had to be in one of the big, you had to either be in New York, Chicago, or LA to be a player. You had to literally live in the expensive places, and
Hmm.
there were gatekeepers, and it was really hard to get in and stuff. So part of me misses that actually a little bit because um, it was hard to get in, but once you were, and you were on the list or had an agent or whatever, you weren't competing with people all over the entire globe just for a line, for a line here and there. I mean, I do like being able to record from home now.
Hmm.
I do like that. It affords me, I could maybe live somewhere less expensive, and do that. But it's also a pain in the butt because, like everything now, you have to wear like nine hats. You're supposed to do your own recording, your own editing, send it out into the world, and it was so much, your performance was better, I felt, when you weren't having to monitor sound cues and stuff. You just were delivering. And then I never did animation. Like I never really went after animation because I knew that those people that did like the voices on The Simpsons and stuff had mad skills. They could do seven voices and every emotion possible. And then the celebrities, like around the time Robin Williams did Aladdin,
Hmm.
all of a sudden it was cool, and the celebrities' names were all over movies for that.
Hmm.
So, and I was again a theater actor, and I was passing hors d'oeuvres and being a bartender and stuff. And so to me, oh my God, I could just read this script about uh, I mainly did what would be called explainer videos or e-learning, like for, I don't know, safety videos for utility companies and stuff where there's just my intelligent, trustworthy, reliable sounding voice explaining how something worked.
Hmm.
Something a lot of actors would be like, oh, that's beneath me or it's boring or something. I was like, no, I don't have to put on a uniform and drive to Malibu and pass hors d'oeuvres. I can read this and make the same amount of money in half an hour. But the only problem is now the segment I've been doing this whole time is the exact segment that is easier for AI to take because it takes
Hmm.
less acting and all of that. So I am having to try to expand a little. And
Hmm.
I've leaned more into writing. I still do the voiceover because I need to and I want to, but it's funny now that I discovered writing 2 or 3 years ago. That's where I like to spend my most of my time.
Hmm. That's where you're drawn to, where you just feel like you want to spend your free time.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Or, yeah, it feels like a natural fit. The voiceover never felt like an unnatural fit, but it was just something I felt lucky to have the ability to do, and I fell into it for a while, and so I still hold on to it, and I would love for it to grow and have both.
Yeah.
But and the last thing I'll say for all of your gazillion listeners is that don't be mistaken that you have to have a deep voice to do voiceover anymore. In fact, it's worked against me because they want people who sound like real people now. And and I am a real person. But sometimes when I'll speak, people, the reaction will be, you don't need to use that fake radio voice. Like we need you to sound like a real person. So it's worked against me. They don't all want James Earl Jones or Morgan Freeman. Um, but they do all want excuse me, they do all want Sam Elliott. Every freaking piece of copy that comes through that has a truck or this or that, it's like, I want you to sound like Sam Elliott selling this really cool. And I'm like, do you know there are all kinds of men driving trucks that don't sound like a gruff cowboy?
So are you auditioning like these come across your desk as an opportunity and you got to send in a little demo and hope to get selected like an audition kind of a situation?
Yeah, and even in the highest echelons of like Coca-Cola has a new campaign or something. Yes, I mean, sure, they'll reuse people, but they send it out to all the agents and people audition on the line or the script. Yes.
Hmm.
Um, I have returning people, thankfully, so I don't have to audition every time.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Hmm.
That's the goal. But and then because of the internet and stuff, I'm also on sites that are called pay to play, where you
Hmm.
pay a fee and you get a little piece of real estate where all of your demos and stuff reside, apart from your own website. And that's become a little less, but yeah, sometimes people will come and say, "Hey, I want you specifically," but that's very rare. Usually a script will go up. I mean, and I could see why the clients like it. You post a script, you sit around and twiddle your thumbs for an hour, and then 100 people have auditioned on your script, and you can start picking people.
Got it. So if my, tens of listeners
Yes, that's exciting.
if my tens of listeners and I mean I'm a coach and mentor for medical innovators. So let's say one of the medical device companies that I'm working with wants to put together a how to use this medical device video for their online for their website.
Yeah,
I see this all the time, right? Like you play the video and if
I've done many.
yeah,
Yes.
so if and I'll put it in the show notes too, but if somebody's like, "Oh, wait, do you know anybody that does this? How do they find you? What's the way to find you?"
Um, well, just my normal website is my name, joeguay.com, but it's spelled JOEGUAY.com. Um, and that's through my email is there through the website. But then
Mhm.
if you Google my name more than my writing, the voiceover stuff will come up first.
Mhm.
And I have done, it's funny, a lot of the medical stuff was my main focus for
Hmm.
about 4 years there, you know.
Until AI took it over.
Not yes, but no, even before that, I just happened to be on the roster of this one company that still had you come in because
Mhm.
they had these really challenging, these were more for therapies and things. So the words were hard, really
Mhm.
hard, and that they wanted to be in the room when you were doing it. And I loved that, but
Mhm.
times have changed.
Got it. Well, yeah, email me the links that you want me to put in the show notes, and I'll include those in the show notes, and I'll keep them in mind too, because we do
Thank you.
we
Yeah.
have a crew of people that we work with that helps people put together like how to use this medical device video. I have no idea how they select their voiceovers for that. Um, m-
Yeah, I'm used to it. I mean, I tend to do those, and lately I seem to do a lot of air travel stuff and uh,
oh,
um, trucks and things, like what's a big construction equipment, stuff like that.
yeah, my wife knows that we're recording this today, and she was thinking about you. She's a nurse who does holistic wellness coaching, and um, she mentioned that she had done this meditation with a
Mm,
live, uh, you know, like
voice.
a live voice meditation that was, I can't remember where she found it, but she said, "Hey, when you're talking to Joe, let him know that I really liked that, like a real human being reading a meditation was something that resonated."
Yeah.
With her. So I don't know.
I have friends who do audiobooks, and I haven't fully stepped into that only because I was so spoiled doing shorter content for so long that the
Hmm.
idea of being consistent for a 20-hour read aloud book, I was like, even though as much as I love reading, but I have a feeling I'm going to have to go there, at least dip my toe.
Yeah, you get to practice today. You get to read one of your essays
Oh,
today.
that's true. Yeah.
See how it goes. It's been hard. I'll just say like through this is my 16th episode and only one other, had Abby. So I've gone through all the iterations of trying to read, and the sound quality of the one I recorded yesterday wasn't great. Like the actual mic that I used was bad, which was a shame. Uh, but it was interesting that I kind of went all in on I'm just going to read it. And I think it came out the best reading of an essay. Like the first couple, I felt like I wanted to be real casual. I'm going to read this real casually. And I didn't like them at all. I don't like any of those ones where I read them casually. And then um, I think my son and I agreed with him. He was like, "Hey, Dad, you're great at writing stories and you're great at telling stories. You're not great at reading the stories that you've written." Well, like, yeah, I agree with you. So then I tried to just tell I'm just going to tell off the cuff. I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to tell you the same story that's kind of in the essay that I wrote, and they were okay. But then I felt like I was departing from the niche here that I've
Hmm.
maybe tripped into because my massage therapist wanted me to read my essay, and I thought, what? Why don't I just go all in? I'm going to read the essay. I'm not going to try to make it sound anything other than me reading the essay. Um, and that's what I did yesterday, and I was happy with it. I listened to it and I thought, oh, okay, that kind of worked. Uh, so
Yeah. I need to dip my toe into that too. Considering I've been using my voice to make, a living anyway. There were a couple writers on Medium that on Substack they found a way to post an audio version of their stories.
yeah,
And I have I have a big backlog to go through if I do start voicing them, but I'd like to, and I can see what you mean because there are times I would want to add like exactly the way I would say it in real life, but maybe I won't like how that sounds, you know.
hmm yeah, yeah, cool. Well, I want to get to you reading the essay soon.
Okay.
I've been doing this thing, this whole mind game, the best of the best, two different tensions that I'm facing, you're facing, and kind of working through this game. The reason why I did this is because I'm trying to explain uh the whole what is authbition, and it's this authenticity and ambition, and that it's not a compromise between the two things. Like we're gonna go all the way, like be all the way authentic and all the way ambitious and find the best of both. And I've been calling this whole mindedness for a while.
Hmm.
It's been kind of an abstract. Yeah, you can find the best of two things, and I have these abstract ways to explain it through yoga, through Star Wars, through all I had abstract ways to explain it, and I wanted to make it actionable. So I sat down and made this game,
All
and
right.
I've been playing it, and I like it. So I'm curious, like in the past day or week or month or year, is there a tension that you feel like you have to make a this or that choice in your life that you're struggling with?
Um, Well, I'm sure there's plenty. One that comes to mind is um, the real job versus what I've been doing for all of my life. And I'm 51, and I've been cobbling together an existence since I was 20. I haven't had a job with a traditional paycheck since um, age 24.
Huh?
No, I don't have kids, so that I have to admit that I'm lucky, and I'm able to say that, whereas other people will be like, "Well, good for you. I could never do that." Um, but but recently, I don't know, like a year or two ago, I was like, God, this is it. You're hitting the official ageism time where it's going to start affecting you. If you're going to do it, you're going to have to do it soon.
Hmm.
But I have no clue what it would be. And I feel like it would add a tiny bit of a feeling of security, but we all know that so few jobs actually uh, are secure long term. So I for like the last year or two, I did toy in my head with like, well, I could I could picture myself somehow working at a university in some capacity, but that's it. Like if I had to step into the corporate speak for the first time at age 50 something, I would be lost because I didn't learn all of the ways to lie through your teeth or to put up with the boss and
Hmm.
just take the lumps as they come. And I would say something inappropriate probably. Um, But then, I'll hang out with friends who have the money to be able to do certain things that I can't do, and I'll get frustrated.
Hmm.
So, it's that. I
Yeah.
think, fortunately or unfortunately, staying the course of the way I've been, is probably the way I'm going to go. But there need to be some more aggression in pursuing income streams instead of just waiting for them to come to me.
Got it. Yeah.
Because I especially now that I found writing, and
Hmm.
like, oh my gosh, why wasn't I doing this 10 years ago? I guess the one plus is that I feel like this whole life of cobbling together an existence since age 24 is that I'm ahead of the game, at least emotionally, compared to the folks who are being laid off right now after 30 years of a reliable paycheck or having to deal with AI or different things interfering with the one tunnel vision thing that they were always picturing doing. Uh,
Hmm.
I at least have the emotional skills. I mean, you might still find me curled up on the bed once a month being like, oh my God, there's work is not coming. The work is not coming. What am I doing? I feel like a man child. But that has been attention.
God, yeah, that was so beautifully articulated. Let's try this game. So what I wrote down is on one side of the tension is the real job, and on the other side is self-employed. Like either go get a regular job somewhere working for somebody or just stay self-employed. So, first thing I want to do is say and real job and self-employed,
Right.
just to get us into an expansive mindset,
It's
a yes and mindset. So real job and self-employed. So we're gonna sit in this space. Um, so I'm gonna take you through 6 questions. We can reflect on each one. What is what is the best thing about a real job?
more reliable health insurance, I suppose, would have been the traditional answer. I don't know if that's true as much now because people have to pay more into it, but
Uh-huh.
health insurance, paid vacations.
Okay. Uh, okay, so I want to try to boil this down to a word or a phrase. So I'm hearing, well, you go. I want to say if you can get that down to a word or a phrase, what do you think that would be?
Perceived security.
Perceived security. Cool. I heard for whatever it's worth, benefits like health insurance, vacations,
No,
like
it is totally.
they have these benefits. Um, I am writing on real paper.
I do that. I do that.
Uh, okay. What is the worst of a real job? What would be the worst part of a real job?
Hmm. I guess politics, I would say, office politics, or
Hmm.
feeling like you're a cog um, in someone else's dream.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. That's super powerful. How do we boil this down? How do we boil that down to a word or a phrase?
Uh, well, I don't know. I mean, there's also like feeling a lack of, I don't know, it's too many things. I was going to say a lack of, they're always like, oh, we're a family, we're a family. And sometimes you feel like you are all working towards some goal. But then I imagine in a real job, there are times you're like, we're not going anywhere. Or like, what is, okay, I'm not helping with this game. Um,
No, you're doing this is great.
uh, I don't know I think it would be the worst part is I guess probably feeling underappreciated, really
Appreciate it. I like this.
underappreciated.
Yeah, and there's this game is like it's just a game. There's no right or wrong answers.
Yeah.
It's an exploration of it's an exploration of synergy. We'll see where it goes. You could tell me if you like it when we're done. This is but really powerful. It's like I'm a cog in a wheel. There's a bunch of politics. I'm unappreciated. Okay, so we're gonna move to the second side was self-employed. So if you had, I need next time I need to give myself more room on the paper. The best, the best of self, what would be the best of self-employed?
Um, ostensibly, more control of your time. Some people complain that, they don't know how to set boundaries once they are self-employed, but that is the ideal goal is more control over your own time. You don't have to request a specific week off, and pray and cross your fingers that you're going to be granted it or something. You can
Mhm.
work with your clients and create that.
Yeah, yeah. More control of time. I love that. Uh, Time is to me, I mean, just it's like the most precious thing. Um, so then what would be the worst of being self-employed?
Um, having to having to well, I don't know if this is the worst. That's the thing, but it's having to wear 900 hats. You have to be your own IT guy, your own marketing person, your own HR person, uh, your own accounts receivable and payable person, trying to get paid on time and stuff. Um,
Yeah.
your own self-motivator,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Self-motivator doesn't necessarily sound like the worst, but wearing all those hats sounds awful.
It is.
Yeah. And I'm
Um,
also just thinking about the lack of security, right? Like you don't necessarily feel like that business is there to save us.
you're right. You're 100% right. That is the glaring obvious problem. I guess I have just gotten so damn used to it that I don't, it's just there all the time that I don't reflect on it as much as the
Yeah.
fact. Years ago, I had a therapist say to me out loud, he was just like, I want you to just acknowledge the level of stress that you might be living with day to day, like that you're not acknowledging the fact that you wake up each month and you don't know by the end of the month how much money you're going to make or where it's coming from. And that is so different from the way most of humanity lives.
Mm, mm.
And I thought, oh,
Yeah,
I never thought about that.
it's kind of funny. I think I'm not a therapist, but I'm just gonna like kind of tend to disagree. Like I feel like it's much more human to wonder where we're gonna get our food today and kind of wake up and go hunting and
Mm,
sometimes like live a few days without any food. And that like stress is real, like real. It's not a like I would almost think that if you're living this fantasy land of believing that you're in a security blanket when you're not, like the stress is actually like a secret undercurrent. Like you know exactly what your stress is. And I think that's a
right.
I think it's a good thing, but we're on the same page because I'm with you. I've in at 52, I've had like a regular job for I don't know 3 years of my life or something like that, you know.
The university, isn't that,
A
you like,
university is kind of like being self-employed. You have to figure out how to bring in your own grants or bring in your own dollars, or if you're not like surviving, if you're not somehow generating revenue, you're just garbage at a university.
publishing in the old tent sense? Yeah.
Yeah, and for whatever it's worth, um, I was really, really on the bottom of the totem pole because I was a teaching faculty without tenure. Um, and I was on a 9-month appointment. So I always was doing other things. I always had a startup company that I was involved in running. I was doing, consulting and stuff. So it didn't feel like a 9 to 5 where I had to go to the same place, see the same people, put in for vacation. Like the way that I think about it is if I had to put in for vacation time, that's a real job.
Right.
And that I've done for about 3 years of my life. Um, all right, cool. I'm liking this. I don't know if you are.
Yeah, I love it. I love that we're winging it and I didn't know what was coming, you know?
This game's not over. So the way it goes, yes, the best, the worst, the best, the worst. And now we're gonna say what's the best of the best. This is the synergy. And then
Mm,
there's the worst of the worst, which is a trap. So the best, if I wrote down your answers or I wrote down some answers, and it was like the best of the best is this perceived security and benefits and control of time. Like, yeah, so the best of the best, it's this perceived security, interestingly enough, but it's basically security, benefits, and time.
you're talking across both now, right?
Yeah, so what I did was
Yeah.
like the best of the real job is this security and the benefits, right? Having those benefits. And the best of the self-employed is you having control of your time.
Yeah. And also potentially, hopefully, if you're self-employed, you are reaching for and doing something that you actually want or are passionate about. It's um,
Mm-hmm.
not just, hey, you studied this and now you should get a career in it. Because, there are plenty of people in real jobs who I was going to say in an ideal world, it's not just about the benefits in a real job. You're plugged in exactly where you're doing, you're creating value, you're
Hmm.
feel like you're part of something great that's happening. And I'm sure there are some people in real jobs that still feel that way, hopefully, as they
Hmm.
go to work. But yes, if you're self-employed, hopefully it's in something that you don't hate. You know, it feeds you a little more.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so now it's like it's a passion job that gives you a lot of freedom of time,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
So passion, freedom of time, and secure with benefits.
that would sound wonderful.
Doesn't that sound good? So yeah, like if you could have a passionate job that allowed you freedom of time and came with benefits, had benefits associated with it, that is that is the synergy to aspire towards, right? Having those benefits.
Well, I would think so. Like if in uh that's what so many of us were told we were going to get by
Mm.
going to college.
Yeah.
So that's what we were told.
Yeah.
So uh, hopefully at least 30% of humanity out there did somehow land in a job or an area that they feel fulfilled in or that they have benefits.
Hmm.
I don't know if they have control of their time though. I guess that's the thing. Now with some people being able to work from home, they might feel that way a little more.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and it could just be, the bubble of social media stuff I'm seeing, but there's so many there's so many young people creating videos about how they feel and I'm sure this happened to people in their 20s, in the 70s and 80s and 90s too. They went to college and did what they thought they were supposed to do, but then at work it takes about 15 years before they realize you could be laid off tomorrow.
Mm.
All this loyalty to somebody who calls you family, and you could be cut the next day, and that's just business. And or also that you're working so that somebody can buy their daughter their third yacht, and
Mm.
you're barely squeezing by. So I have no
Yeah.
idea. I think I just blew the game apart with that.
No, this is perfect because what I'm writing down here is that your synergy, if you find a place of synergy, you have a place that is secure, has benefits, has is time flexibility, and you can be passionate. Those are the things, right?
And that's why I always pictured if you were a college professor
Ah,
in the traditional sense,
yeah.
that or being a staff writer at a magazine or something, or a director of plays, though, I mean, you still have to give time to all of those things.
Yeah.
That always just fit more in how I pictured my personality and my life. And so, yeah, the college professor one, if you're teaching something you love,
Yeah.
always seemed like the dream job in that way because of the benefits and the time off in the summer or whatever.
Yeah. And you could still write,
Yes.
and you could still do your act, you could still do voiceover acting, right?
That's why that is still the only, if I go to try to find a real job, that's the only one I can really picture. I don't have a master's degree,
Yeah.
but I
Well,
would have to use just real world something or other to talk my way in.
yeah, well, the thing to do is food for thought, like focus on these words to allow yourself the brainstorm, right? Like security, benefits, time flexible, and passionate, right? And forget about the real job or the self-employed. Like that's the tension.
Right.
And so what are all the ways you could do it? And certainly college professor sounds like one really great way to do that. It could be like being more proactive about setting up your own retirement situation, like being real proactive about like financial planning. It could be more proactive about saving, right? So, um,
Or more proactive in marketing myself to voiceover people. I got very lucky. I had one client that just came back all the time. And so, but every time I go in there and finish something, I successfully, I walk out and I'm like, why don't I have four of these lined up a week? This would make everything possible.
yeah, yeah. So it can happen, right? Like it can. I feel like this place is possible.
I do too.
Um, let's spend a minute on the trap, the dark side. This is the worst of each one, what I wrote down, right? So it's like underappreciated, and you have to wear all the hats. Interestingly, those are so underappreciated, wear all the hats, and uh, yeah, the worst of word one was yeah, underappreciated. This is kind of interesting. So think about like underappreciated and wear all the hats. Those are the worst of both of your words, right? Of both sides of the tension. And how easily could you end up in a place like a university where you find yourself underappreciated and wearing all the hats, which I think I lived.
Right, right, right.
Um, so that's the trap. Like the reason, like why I like the fact that we could get to this place is because it's there's this, oh, if I could just become a college professor, that would fix all my problems. But you could accidentally slip into underappreciated and wearing all the hats. Um,
Totally.
the other thing you can start to do is think about like how to not wear all the hats and be appreciated. Like, interestingly enough, there's probably the financial planning and a bunch of the shit marketing and things that you probably hate doing as being, I'm projecting,
Yeah.
but you might hate doing as being self-employed and actually outsourcing that stuff. Like I could have more time doing voiceover and writing if I took the time to hire an assistant to do all the shit that I hate and that there's a chance that spending some money would increase your creative production.
Right. Well, that's part of the problem with having been if you're part of a business and a team,
Hmm.
the business knows you must spend some money on marketing. You must spend money on this and this and this. But then when you're self-employed, you're like, yeah, but do I really have to spend my own money to do that?
Yeah. Yes.
But you do. You do.
Oh man. Well, I hope that like you know, 10 people listening to this are like, holy shit, we're gonna hire Joe because he's incredible. It's true, actually, so I'm excited for you to read this essay. Um, and you know, one of the things about it is that I think at some point in the essay, um, the title of the essay is realizing I could be more than a poor man's David Sedaris. And I'm giving some away, but you like boldly claim that you could be better, like on a rare occasion, you could possibly be better. Um, and I just want to say that I've come across David Sedaris on two occasions. One is, long, both of them are long road trips. And my wife's like, you got to listen to this, where he's like the Christmas elf.
Yeah.
And he tells the Christmas elf story, and it's hilarious. It's great. Um, and then I think we bought his book, his one of his books that was like on Audible.
Hmm.
and maybe listen to two chapters of it while driving and never finished it. I only say this because I have absolutely positively consumed more Joe Gay than I have David Sedaris. Like as
Thank
far as content hours served, you're way better. Like hours and hours better than David Sedaris. So I think that this is absolutely positively within the stratosphere of your dreams.
Yeah, yeah. No, he's so unique. And I guess part of the big thrill is seeing him read his stuff live at a thing, because he uses his voice and you're watching that. And I could not believe the ridiculous situations like that he could possibly live through.
Hmm.
Um, but and I've read most of his things and I love most of them. And that's also very eye-opening too. When he has a few books that are just not as good as they used to be, and people are all disappointed, it's like, well, he's just living life here and he's scraping the bottom of the barrel now, trying to find something you need to talk about. Because he already told us about the time the llama came through the front door wearing sequins, I mean, he just has the most ridiculous what am I trying to say? But he,
Yeah.
I do realize he would be somebody, he and his family are somebody I would not want to hang out with because they're so mean and judgmental and just like, they're on all the time, on.
Yeah.
And I wanted to emulate, I thought I wanted to be like that, but in writing, I found something different.
I think this is a perfect segue into you reading that essay.
Okay,
Yeah, I want to hear it.
let me pull it up. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, it's on. I can't see you at this exact moment, so just know I'll know you're there. Um, Realizing I could be more than the poor man's David Sedaris. It's good to have heroes, but your own voice is more powerful. Years before I ever realized I could be a writer myself, I was simply a guy enjoying David Sedaris's zany essays and books. A fan. First his book Naked, then Me Talk Pretty One Day and more, and I had to shake my head in awe. How is it possible for one person to grow up in such a chaotic family and go through life encountering every weirdo and eccentric at work or even down the block, and then have the gumption and the creativity to write these laugh out loud accounts? Was he making this shit up? It was just so outrageous. Same with Bill Bryson, Anne Lamott, even early Irma Bombeck. Wait a minute, I wondered. Could I write about such things? Could I share epic embarrassments and indignities, the nightmare roommates, the jobs from hell, the dates gone horribly wrong? I shook my head. Nah, my life was so vanilla, so blah. I'd never lived with an epileptic paraplegic who owned a Portuguese speaking parrot that taunted me with Betty Davis movie quotes. I didn't poop myself in public like essayist Samantha Irby. I didn't have author Augustine Burroughs' backstory of alcoholism or sexual abuse to draw from and shock readers. Then, one afternoon at 30,000 feet, strapped in my plane seat, I wondered, if I did write, what were my stories? I started compiling a list. The day in first grade when the nun threw a kid's shoe out the window. All the achingly obvious ways I was a gay kid and had no clue. That evening, passing drinks at Dustin Hoffman's house. Finding Dad's porn magazines. Uncle Leroy and that time with the cheese. Yes, I had stories to tell, indignities to recount. It was time. And 2 years ago, I stepped boldly onto Medium and other platforms, ready to spill forth, cheekily and self deprecatingly, labeling myself the poor man's David Sedaris. I could be zany. I could be full of quirky, gasp inducing fun too. You know what? It's good for writers to emulate their heroes. But when I go back and revisit my earliest essays now, it's painful. There's a forced eccentricity. a desire to please, a desperation to squeeze myself into a David Sedaris snarky mold and tone. He may be enviably readable, but I can be that too when I use my own voice. I didn't trust that voice. I didn't know I had that voice. So instead, I pushed being a lesser version of someone great. Yep, I may wish I had his material and could write about the seasonal job as an elf at the mall with Santa, or the time I accidentally told a Belgian diplomat or the time I accidentally told a Belgian diplomat to fuck off in secondhand French. But as much as I scan my brain for past nuggets, that's not been my life. The topics where readers came flocking and applauding: my trip into suicidal ideation, my rants and fears about AI, my comedic missteps in coming out, my wondering aloud about a life issue that might be affecting all of us, my inspirational travel pieces, the times my assumptions were challenged and I realized I might be the asshole. I don't, you don't need to be the poor man's David Sedaris or the poor woman's anything. Words resonate with readers the most when you're wonderfully and flawfully writing as yourself in your voice. If new to writing or branching out, know this: it won't be smooth sailing. It won't be comfortable. At first, you may have trouble trusting. It's easier to emulate those already in the arena, those you admire. That's fine when you're getting started, but you can't stay there. It took months of trial and error and less than stellar efforts, but I finally developed my own voice. And guess what? I like it, even trust it. I'm a writer of personal essays. It's what I do. It's what I'm most comfortable with, and it's very much my niche. Could I experiment in more visual and poetic verbiage? Lean into more humor? You bet. And I aim to. Here on Medium, I keep an always growing inspiration file, a folder or list that I entitle Authors to Aspire to Emulate. It's full of samples that impressed me for one reason or another. Sometimes it's an author who's always brilliant. Other times the writer has a style, a perspective, or a bravery that I'd like to toy with or to practice. I'm currently reading a kick-ass older book entitled The Bullfighter Checks Her Makeup by Susan Orlean, a collection of feature articles she once wrote about unique individuals after spending lengths of time with them. Think in-depth pieces for Esquire or The New Yorker. I've gotten comfortable writing personal essays, but I'm studying Orlean's ability to make a standard feature article diabolically interesting so that I too can pitch with confidence and write for legacy or online magazines. The Susan Orlean tricks for the toolbox will be great, but it's fodder until I use those styles and still bring my own voice and authenticity. A writer's work is never done. Fiction, for me, is the terrifying unknown. You can be sure that if I dip my toe into short stories or fiction, I'll first be studying and stealing from the best. Elizabeth Strout, Shirley Jackson, maybe even Stephen King, Jonathan Franzen, or even, if I'm feeling frisky, some Tom Robbins. And now that's all going to take some courage. But in nonfiction, it's finally official. I don't need to be the next David Sedaris, and you don't need to be a stand-in or a second-rate version of someone else, of someone either. As a reader commented once, Joe, your writing is kinder than Sedaris, so you'd fail at being him. How lovely. When in the zone, I can occasionally be, gasp, better than Sedaris. The self-limiting stops now. But hey, if you want to book me into a 5,000 seat auditorium to sit in a chair and read my essays into a microphone for money, I wouldn't say no. And that's that.
That was incredible. And that last line
Led to this.
led to this because I replied and said, "How about no money and an audience of tens?"
And I said, "Oh no. Okay, I will do it. I'll face the fear. I'll face the fear."
Oh my gosh. Well, maybe one day we will have millions of fans, and you'll be part of the journey of growing this thing up. That is so good. I thoroughly enjoyed watching you read it. It was nice knowing that you couldn't see me because I could just sit here and enjoy watching you deliver it. Um, when
I I wrote that on a whim. I mean, I really wrote that on a whim. I don't remember why. I hadn't written in a while. I was like, oh, I need to write something about writing. I haven't written about writing in a long time. And then it got way more people responded to it than I expected. So
Isn't it funny how that happens? Like, can't predict what of I don't know how it's been for you, but I'll write an absolute masterpiece. Like I'll submit it and be like, this is the finest work.
and it might be, but
And it gets like two reads. And then other times I'm like, this is terrible. I don't think it's gonna get rejected. I shouldn't even submit it. And then it gets boosted and I'm like, I can't predict what's gonna happen here.
I mean, I think you saw this one. A few weeks ago, I wrote a story just about something that I was feeling, and it was about uh, this struggle that I have now about calling friends on the
Oh,
phone.
yeah.
And it's like, this is a legit thing that I'm struggling with. And it just seems so petty and silly. And I said, well, I'll just put it out there. And um, because there was this big balance of like epic world problems happening, and you never know what your friend is, what emotion. It requires so much individual emotional regulation of your own emotions just to get through the day and not read that news article or yes, today I am going into the brink and I'm going to be mad. And I worry what are my friends going through today, and I don't want to interrupt them or bother them or be the downer. But this was just something that would have normally just been a journal essay, like something in a journal. But I wrote it, and people from India and like every country, I thought it was just an American problem, of course, but
Uh-huh.
I just thought, oh, we're all falling apart and it's only us. No, people in Amsterdam and people were saying the same thing. Oh, I worry about calling my friends. I've become much more of a hermit. I never expected that one to get anyone to re pay attention to. So
Yes, so highly relatable. Yeah, I read it and just thought like, why don't I call anybody anymore? I don't understand why. I don't necessarily feel a fear, but it definitely doesn't happen as much as it should. And yeah, there's a whole like I think that unpacks like this whole Pandora's box of the
reasons.
world of instant everything. And yeah, my wife and I were just talking about like if, social media gives you instant news about everyone you've ever met, yet we're not really connected to anyone in particular. And then like just kind of play that out. It's like, yeah, instant food is like not enjoying meals and just like all this, all like everything available at your fingertips, and my wife and I cook meals together. Well, she mostly cooks the meal, and I stand there and talk to her while she's cooking the meal. But it's kind of
You,
like we're
you're
yeah,
spending time together.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're spending time together, and it's like, yeah, you could call this work. Oh, it's such a labor to make this meal, and I'm sure I do wash the dishes. Um, but that work is time that we're spend. It's like it's some of the most meaningful time that we spend together. So
Yeah.
skipping that cooking for a more convenient, TV dinner or
Or
deliver.
having someone deliver it to you. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I'm dating myself with the TV dinner. Yeah, the DoorDash or whatever. Skipping, we can get in another half an hour of work if we would just DoorDash this. And it's like, yeah, we also just missed hanging out together because we took the easy button. That's kind of what I thought when you wrote that piece. I was like, yeah, we just like are skipping past all the hard, good parts of life, like calling
Yeah.
people. Yeah. Wow. Uh, when did you first realize that it was personal essays? Like you got hit with like, oh, I'm good at a personal essay. When did that happen in your journey?
Well, I guess the truth is it's the only medium I've really tried to write in. Because I was an actor first and I thought the truth is I had a writer's brain this entire time and I didn't know it.
Mhm.
All of these weird things, I would just think things that other people didn't, but they would always be in my head. And I would have these conversations in my head about things, but um, and I coulda, shoulda, woulda. I think I'm okay as an actor and stuff, but what I really would have been better as is on the other side as a writer or a director,
Mhm.
as a
Mhm.
director. Um, but so like in college, I've told this story before. I did write for the school newspaper. I did take one English fiction writing class, and
Mhm.
but I never thought I was going to be an author. I did think I would be a journalist a little bit. I did write one play. Okay, I have to say this. When I was 11, I did write some murder mysteries.
All right.
So I guess I was a writer, but I never ever thought of it after college or took it seriously, and I went after other things. Um, and fiction, but I read a lot, and the
Mhm.
fiction writers blow me away. Like here's a 500-page book. How did he know to drop this little nugget onto page 300 something where it has the most resonance? And I just couldn't imagine. And so I was comparing myself to them. I said, well, I can't do that. I'm not a writer.
Mhm.
But I was reading, I guess it was when I started realizing how much I was reading Bill Bryson, who is a British author who is very cantankerous and writes about travels and things, and David Sedaris and a few others that I was like, well, I'm buying these books. I'm reading these. This is real writing. Um, and people always commented that I was a good writer, and I didn't know what they were talking about because I wasn't writing anything, but they meant cards I sent or emails or things
Mhm.
that I don't think I realized how much people struggle with just writing an email or a heartfelt something. Uh,
Mhm.
so that's my long-winded way of saying I started to realize that when I went through a mental health thing about 4 years ago that was very serious,
Mhm.
when I came back from it, I wrote on Facebook just like a 19 paragraph, this is what I just went through thing. And people went ballistic for it. A, because 90% of them didn't know. And then the other were just like, I would never read something this long on social media. I mean, are you kidding me? But you kept me the whole way. And it was like the shackles were off. Before I was always like, what'll my mother think if she reads this essay?
Mhm.
If I ever became a writer, people are going to be judging me and stuff. So um, that's when some friends said, "Hey, have you ever heard of Medium?" And I guess before that, I had started writing very small things on my personal website that had
Mhm.
no traffic. And they said, "Hey, have you heard of Medium?" And so that's when I'm gonna have my 2 year anniversary in October. Uh,
Mhm.
I started writing there, and yes, when I read some of my earlier ones, it's like, oh my God. So it is amazing. I have grown, and you can see it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so between writing and I read a lot on the site, but that is my long-winded way of saying uh, that's all I have. It's not like I chose. I guess the only place where I chose I'm going to write personal essays was that moment when I said, "Well, wait a minute. I buy these books.
Yeah.
This is writing. I could
Yeah.
I could do that." And then I started making a list of the crazy stories from my life. And now they don't have to be crazy stories. They can just be reflections on
Yeah.
on whatever. But the idea of writing a short story or something is still terrifying to me. I promised myself I'll at least try,
Mhm.
but it's so foreign to me. Even writing a magazine article about somebody, I've been so busy writing about my thoughts on things that if I had to go write a magazine article on so and so who opened the new store down on Main Street, I would have a hard time, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to
Yeah.
put my college journalism hat back on.
I I wrote one, I've got one fiction piece that on Medium, and it is so bad. It
Mm.
is like it's like kindergartner Andrew tried to write a fiction piece and somehow got it published. I put it out there just to like be like, I tried this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It is so bad. Now, I read the piece that you wrote on the on your falling into depression and that whole journey. Um, and it is so powerful. You know, we I haven't dealt with that, right? Like I haven't personally faced that.
That was my first time. Yeah.
Yeah, and your honesty about it, and we hear about like these sort of abstract things. People have all kinds of opinions on what is depression or what's like the big D depression, the little D, what, is it, and it's like, yeah, okay, this is like interesting, philosophical. I don't have an opinion because I don't feel qualified no matter how much I read. That
Sure.
piece that you wrote gave empathy in a way
Hmm.
that I had never felt before for anyone that has gone through that. Um,
Thank you.
I- yeah, you're welcome. It's I This honesty though, I mean, I think it's me thinking about what is authentic writing and how to and being ambitious and being really successful at what we do because I think we want that, and to touch the world with our words in a way that helps people. Um, it's interesting when it's not a lesson. Like the thing about that story is you were just sharing an experience that you went through and that was it.
Yeah, and I wasn't like giving a resolution or being an expert per se.
Yeah. We just walked with you through it in a way that provided a perspective. There's this one, you might have read it because Medium's pushing it all over the place. This guy that wrote about IVF. I don't know if you wrote that, if you read that piece. Um,
No, not I haven't. This is like the one saying men
yeah,
need to talk about IVF.
men need to start talking about IVF now. I guess I don't even know why I was drawn to it because like I'm done having kids. I'm never going to have any more kids. I don't need to read this. Uh, but I did. I,
But that's why I'm on this site. I can find all kinds of I learned so much, like somebody's writing about something in Spain or the way things are different and I like to learn. It's curiosity.
yeah. Yeah, the way this made me feel is like, so I read this guy's, it was beautifully written about his experience, and the way he talked about his wife, the whole thing was just really well done. He's clearly not a writer. He's got one published piece, it's like he came onto Medium and just like dropped this thing. Um, and it's kind of a similar situation where, hey, I have dozens of friends that I know that have gone through IVF, right? And I think you know, Abby and I will be having dinner like, oh man, it must be so hard for them. Gosh, we feel bad for our friends who are going through this thing.
Hmm.
And that's it. And then I read this guy's piece, and it was like every person that I've ever met or known that has gone through it, I was like, oh,
Right.
okay, that's what they were going through. Holy shit. It brought this like level of empathy to all of these friends that I never I wrote like I didn't call him.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. You're gonna
I
text. It's
I
fine.
just thought in my head like, oh man, I feel for what you were going through 5 years ago.
Yeah. No, I have to read that. But yeah, that's the power of that. You
Yeah,
know, and that's why I ended up writing like five different articles on that issue because it was too much. I mean, each article was already 7 minutes long. Uh,
yeah.
there were just so many angles. So I was like, okay, this is the one where I just talk about medication. This is the one where I talk about if you lost somebody to suicide, forgive yourself. I've been on the other side, and I hate saying this out loud, but there's very little you could have done. I feel like I just had a glance into a window so that I'm so much less judgmental. I don't say that if somebody completes the act that they were weak or or anything. Because I know it's the complete opposite. I was I was so close on so many occasions, unfortunately, because my brain was just telling me to do that, and I didn't have the bravery. So, yeah, so that's why I've written it on, and I continue to write on it occasionally. I didn't want to beat people over the head with like, hey, I'm the suicide topic guy. But thankfully, I've written on enough other things now that maybe every few months I just drop back into it. Or I start reading articles about from writers who just lost their son to something like that,
Hmm,
like
hmm.
just a few months ago. And so I'm careful, of course, in how I comment on that. But sometimes when I see that they happen to read my articles and highlight but not comment, I'm like, I'm very happy about that,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. You've touched a lot of people in a really good way with that, with the all of your pieces. I mean, I on on the day that I aired my very first episode of Authbition, I kind of like conjured you up. I there was like unnamed people that I was like, one day I'm gonna have so and so, you know, who's a
I love,
voiceover actor on the show. And so yeah, you've definitely
thank you.
impacted my life tremendously with your words. Having you here is really meaningful to me. I hope we get to do it again. We'll let time pass. We'll let the subscribers go from the tens to the hundreds.
All right.
And
I
then,
I remember when you were still kicking this around and you were saying, I'm thinking of a podcast. I don't know if it should be this or this or this or this, or at least it came up in some comment of
mhm.
some story. And you've done it. You know, I still haven't. I still haven't touched, I haven't done a YouTube channel. I haven't even voiced any of my things aloud. And it's so obvious I should, but I just haven't. So this is a nice kick in the butt for me too.
Yeah, you could even do a one that's not all on video, right? Like you could do a voice only version where you just read it and give it to the world in another place, SoundCloud or somewhere else where people can find it. Um,
No, but same with you, Andrew, like reading the stories about meeting your wife at the bar and the bikes and oh my God, the story about holding on to the house after your I want to say divorce and your daughter and the kids and the estrangements and that that's where I was like, well, I am not enough. I'm a boy, I'm a man child. I mean, these are people dealing with real issues, like stressful
mm,
issues. So yeah, same. I felt and through our comments to each other, it's been very, very nice.
yeah, yeah, 100%. I don't want it to end. I forget I had a wrap up question, but I can't remember what it is.
I don't know. Feel free to look at anything.
Okay.
I don't have an answer for like the
Yeah.
best of the best synergy or anything. I had so much that I said during that exercise. Um, and as far as like if giving any advice to writers or anything, uh, I don't know. Um, Well, it depends on I guess like it depends on the type of writing you're doing. Like when I first arrived on Medium, I didn't think my stuff was going to do well because so many of the articles were still in that listicle world of like 10 ways to catch a man and, like
Hmm.
those kind of improve your productivity hacks, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's not me. And I couldn't really niche myself down because one day I'll write about travel, the next I'll write about TV, theater, and then something really deep. And so that's still where I reside. Um, um, I think finding your own voice is obviously easier in personal essays. I don't know how how finding your personal voice comes across when writing fiction, or if it even should, or how that works. But for personal essays, I guess what I learned was I really admired David Sedaris's work and his snark, and that he could make people laugh and be so out there and outrageous. And so I looked for the most out. I made a list of the most outrageous things from my life, and I thought that's what I should write about first.
Hmm.
And there were a couple that were good, but mainly it was through, and it's the same old story. It was mainly you have to do it for a while to 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 grow. I didn't think my writing would improve that much in just 2 years, but it has. And so yeah, it's that. And that you have to actually physically do the writing. I mean, so much of writing is also going through life thinking about what you're going to write about, and that time is important. But yesterday was one of those days I finally was like, I, I I'm sorry I'm rambling. The I'm past, thank God, knock on wood, the point of being worried that the words won't ever come again.
Mm.
I've been here long enough to know that if the time isn't right, thankfully, if the day is not right, if I'm not feeling it, I can't force it. Thankfully, I'm not on a deadline for a newspaper or something. Um, I don't fear like, oh, I've lost it or it's not coming back. But I went through about eight, after writing the David Sedaris piece, I went through about 8 or 9 days where I knew what my next few possible essays would be, but I just could not physically sit down to do it.
Hmm.
And or I was resisting or whatever. And yesterday was one of those days I finally spent 2 hours and wrote the damn thing. And then it's like a great feeling of, again, I'm rambling, but I wanted to say this too. I go back and read things of mine, and I'm like, I don't remember you do reach that point that like that sentence came out of my fingers. I don't remember. I don't remember crafting it or thinking it. That's pretty good. I don't,
Yeah.
how did that happen? Okay. I mean, I can't imagine how Stephen King and these other people who have these tomes, of course, they would come across things that they wrote that they don't remember writing.
Yeah.
So that's very fascinating to me. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I feel like just writing, just like having a habit of writing has been, I didn't realize how much I was going to improve. Um,
how new are you to it? I mean, I know you had to write for your job.
yeah. I mean, I've been I took some writing classes in college. I got a minor in English. I used to write poetry because I thought I was, some kind of creative person. My poetry's terrible. I thought I would be a fiction writer. So I've been kind of writing my whole life. I've had blogs. So I'm a teacher, professor, mentor, coach, and I've if you go back, there's like various iterations of me having teachy preachy,
Sure.
here's what innovation is kind of stuff. And I've always thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, man, I loved writing that essay that I didn't even call it an essay, post. I loved writing that post about innovation. So it's something I've always enjoyed. Um, I I guess about 2-ish years into Medium, a year and a half. It's like I wrote one essay one December. I want to say it was like 2020. 2003 or two. I can't remember the year. It doesn't matter. It's a couple of years ago. I wrote one essay in December on a plane ride coming back from a vacation with my wife it was to Puerto Rico. And I was like, New Year's resolution. I'm gonna start writing. And I wrote this essay like in December on the plane, and it's the first one that's published on Medium. And then I did not write a word for an exact 12 months. I got COVID
Mm.
and I couldn't do anything. I'm sitting in my house and I'm like, maybe I should write something. So I wrote my second ever essay, and as I was looking at the date, I was like, it is a year to the day that I said I was going to pick up this writing habit. And
That's
so
cool.
the first two are exactly a year apart, and then it's been like bang, 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 bang. I published my 100th essay yesterday, and how I want to say it's been less than 2 years because I know that I've been like putting out more than one a week, like
Mm.
the time frame. So really in earnest, it's been about a year and a half, almost two. Um,
But with all of your entrepreneurship and stuff, did you have to do like persuasive writing and things like that as far as like, I don't know, to investors or to like grant writing or to sell something?
yeah, so there's all this like background that I think gave me this edge to be okay, but it also was there was a part that I sucked at. So um as a teacher, like telling stories was so important. And then growing up in the movie business, the whole idea of the
Oh,
theatrical performance, like, so I kind of had this like stories are, just telling stories around a table. And I've always been a storyteller. And then in my classroom, I wouldn't teach a thing. I would tell a story to have you remember it instead of teaching the thing itself.
that's good.
Yeah. So, and then in entrepreneurship, it's pitch decks, right? It's like, how do you say what the problem is? What is the unmet need? Sort of set this stage and like hit people overhead, but we're going to change the world kind of stuff, right? So, like, how do you set up a story to kind of suck somebody in? So I did come into it with that background
Yeah.
where I really failed in the front end. If I go back and start to read the earlier work, I was still too preachy teachy,
Mm.
like I'm going to tell you the story about how I found that time is the most valuable resource, and it's the most valuable resource for you too, right? Like it's me literally teaching a topic,
Sure.
and I what actually knocked me out of that was doing the fiction piece because I was submitting to pure fiction and they were coming back to me and they're like, you keep on giving the end away. Like you need to like let it unfold. And I realized that my tendency to want to teach was making me a terrible fiction writer because I wasn't there was no suspense at all.
It was like you were summarizing at the beginning.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's really only very, very recently that I've come to this place of just give my experience. It's take it or leave it. This is what happened to me, and it's not to judge or offer a solution to anybody. It's just something to that you can take with you if
Yeah.
you like it.
Well, I have to say, I am a little jealous of your time in the showbiz industry because I never fully, I know that you moved beyond it and probably for the better, but it's cool you have those memories because I never had, apart from doing extra work and a couple little small things, I never had that camaraderie feel on a set of creating something eternal, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not over. I might, now that I've finally aged into my casting category, I might actually ponder it again. but
Why not hang out in the writer's room? Like, hey, you're self-employed and you love to write and you're super creative.
that's true.
Like, go hang out in the writer's room and go like sit around a table with a bunch of writers and help put together the show, and
Yeah,
or maybe a documentary. Be in the writer's room for a documentary. So it's like not fiction, it's a real story about real people.
yeah,
And you can bring all of your incredible talents to a place that brings together some of the stuff that you really enjoy doing and being surrounded by, and then be part of that energy when something comes out and you can be like, I was a writer on that show.
yeah.
I wish that for you. I want something like that for you to happen.
Thank you. This has been really cool and inspiring, and just gets ideas going in my head. And that game was hard, but not hard. It just I certainly had a hard time bringing it down to one word, because I was like, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? But it was cool.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for spending all this time with me.
You bet.
I appreciate you. I look forward to reading all of your work, and I'll certainly put links and stuff into the show so that everybody can find your amazing essays.
Thank you, Andrew. I mean, I'll email you. Yeah, I don't know. I'll email you a few voiceover-y things that are specific to like medical devices or the stuff that used to be my bread and butter that I still wouldn't mind being my bread and butter.
Yeah.
Uh, but same here. I saved your story to my reading list. My reading list always has like 150 stories, and I cycle through like 10 every once in a while.
Hmm.
What about you writing your 100th article? So
Nice. I hope you enjoy it.
I'm sure I will.
All right, Joe. Thank you. You have a wonderful afternoon on the left coast.
Thank you. You too. And tell me as we go, remind me, what part of
I'm in Raleigh,
you're in
North
Raleigh?
Carolina. Yeah.
I knew you were in North Carolina. I just didn't want to say the wrong city, and I would have. So I'm glad you corrected me.
Yeah. If you find yourself in Raleigh for any reason, let's go ride bikes together.
All right. Sounds fun.
All right. Take care, Joe.
Bye.
Bye.